Food costs have been rising on a weekly basis for darn near 2 decades now. Most restaurant operators attribute their high food costs to these price changes. On top of that, the echo chamber of the internet keeps compounding the problem, feeding you bad information like the average food cost for a restaurant is 34%, or television shows touting a 3 times markup. Are you an independent restaurant owner looking for food cost saving ideas? Well, you're in the right place. Hey, if you'd like tips like this, do me a favor, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Oh yeah, click that bell so you're notified when my next tips come out. By the way, if you'd like more tips and tricks for running a profitable restaurant or hear restaurant owner success stories, make sure you subscribe to my podcast, Restaurant Prosperity Formula, found on all the popular podcasting services. Look, I feel your pain. I can remember as the operations manager for a multi-unit brew pub and cafe earlier in my career, I was tasked with creating food systems to lower our food costs using an industry average of 34% as our target. First, where did this number come from? Well, for me, it was the owner of the company who did all the research. He wasn't a restaurateur in the first place, he was a banker. He got out there and read all the trade magazines, subscribed to the National Restaurant Association, their bulletins, and found that the average food cost for a full-service restaurant was 34%. Well, we go to seminars and workshops, you hear this number quoted over and over and over again. So it's gotta be right? Now, where do most restaurants go out and find a way to lower their food cost? Your suppliers, right? Here's what I did when I was an operations manager. Following that tact of finding a 34% food cost, the first place I went to was creating a cherry picker system. Well, at the time I was a spreadsheet geek. I literally had books this thick, $50 a piece, so I could find one formula or one way that I could make a change to what I was building at the time was Excel spreadsheets using Visual Basic for Excel. That was the beginning of me learning how to make spreadsheets look like and operate like software. This is before really any software is on the market. I think there was one software package out there, maybe 2, Food Tracks and Chef Tech. So this is really in the early 90s. And I worked really, really hard to create this cherry picker system. What's a cherry picker? It's a really bad practice today, and I'll tell you why I don't like it today. But back then, what we did is I grabbed bids from all my vendors. I put them into a spreadsheet, clicked the button, it sorted them, and then fired off the cheapest of every one of those items that we purchased. I then, because I'm so old, I would PC anywhere into each one of my locations. Old people, you remember that? We didn't have the internet that was strong like today. You literally had to modem into another computer, and I would dump a file in so that my program, if you will, the Excel spreadsheet that we operated, my managers would order. And they didn't know who they were ordering from. They just needed that product, and boom, out would come purchase orders, the vendor they were buying from, and each product, and it was the cheapest price. And I thought I was a superhero. I was doing a great job, but the truth of the matter is when you cherry pick, number one, you're only really paying attention to your proteins, your high dollar items, and you're probably getting screwed on paper and janitorial and things like that. The other part is I was a full-time operations manager for 2 locations. It takes a Herculean effort to truly cherry pick. And the truth of the matter is, that's not where the problem is. See, the problem is on some level, while this was effective, I was wrong. Because there were 2 fallacies I was operating under here. Number one, the price I was paying for my products was the real problem, right? That's what I was thinking. Isn't that what you think? And 2, you're supposed to operate based on an industry average. Problem is, what is average? What do I mean? First, the real problem was my suppliers, right? It really wasn't my suppliers. It was how we handled our product. See, one of the things that I've learned coaching independent restaurants since 2003 is that most restaurants run 7 to 9 points above their ideal food cost. What is ideal food cost? Ideal food cost is if everybody ran perfectly. Portions went out perfectly. There was no waste, no theft, no spoilage. Perfect restaurant. Your kitchen was perfect. By the way, that does not exist. But if you were perfect, you would, based on what your customers order, hit your ideal food cost. Your ideal food cost, not 34%. If you're a pizzeria, pasta, maybe you're a 24% ideal food cost. Well, maybe you're a steakhouse and you're a 35%, 36% food cost. Well, imagine most restaurants are running 7 to 9 points above that because we're making mistakes in our kitchen, how we handle the product. It's not the 15 cents more a pound of cheese that your purveyor just hit you with because maybe it's a commodity product. So how do we deal with this? How do we stop making those dumbass mistakes? Well, I've got a short list of items that you can put in place. One is a key item tracker. And what this does is we track 5 to 15 items on a shift by shift basis to make sure they're not stolen. So high protein items, high movers, things that are important to us, things we don't want stolen. Second, we're gonna put in a waste tracker. We're gonna track that we're throwing away half a case of tomatoes on every Thursday because we're over ordering on Monday. We're gonna find that somebody's burning steaks and what have you, and we can fix those problems today. We're going to implement something I call the Restaurant Checkbook Guardian. In the past, I would refer to it as a purchase allotment system where we give up ordering without giving up our checkbook. We can actually rest assured that none of our managers can go over budget without asking us for permission and coming to us with what the problems are and what they did to fix it. Portion control is very simple. Making sure every dish goes out the same every single time. Not only does that help you control your costs, but it increases your sales because you give your guests the same experience every single time. Line checklist to make sure mise en place, everything's in the right place, the right portion controls, everything's tastes right, like everything's good. Last but not least, time temp checklist, that we're not throwing away product because it's going bad. Now, the second reason, right, the biggest fallacy was operating under the wrong assumption that food costs can or should be that 34%. Now, I had to come across that and learn that first by understanding the following concepts: prime cost, budgets, ideal food costs, and menu engineering. What do I mean? What is prime cost? Well, make sure you search my YouTube channel and you're gonna find I give you many lessons on prime cost, but it's total cost of goods sold plus total labor costs, including taxes, benefits, insurance. I had to learn that you had to shoot for a 55% prime cost, not the national average of 65. And that I could run a higher food cost, lower labor cost, a higher labor cost, lower food cost. Didn't matter how I got to those 55 points, or 60 if I do under $850,000 a year in sales. So I could choose based on our core values, our business, our price point, our style of service, quality product we served. I understood the power of a budget, that you literally had to set your plan in progress for how you're going to lower your food cost, where your food cost needs to be, like putting in the key item tracker, waste tracker, and the Restaurant Checkbook Guardian to reduce my food cost by 3 points right out of the gate. But I need to train it 1 month and hold them accountable the next. And it may take me 4 months to do my recipe cards so that I can figure out what my ideal food cost is based on no waste, no theft, no spoilage. And then finally, menu engineer. By putting menu engineering techniques in place, by raising price on some items, by changing products, reducing portion sizes, adding new items, getting rid of items, merchandising, all these things that are science, I can manipulate my food cost and lower it. And that's the power that I had to learn over years of mistakes that really make a difference. And what it said to me is, I don't have to use a national average. I can go based on my budget, based on my core values, my location, all those things. In fact, I can tell you with my coaching members during the pandemic, I would teach them these 2 lessons, right? And I'm going to tell you, the results were nothing short of a miracle. What do I mean? Well, I can talk about 2 members right now that I can think of that their food costs were running anywhere from 34 to 36%. And because the pandemic was lowering our sales and our labor cost was jumping up because we're at minimum staffing levels, the only way they could survive was to take their menus to a 26 actual food cost. So that means we're actually shooting for a 34% ideal, and we're putting all those other controls in place that we're not running into 7 to 9 points above ideal. And the crazy part is, as we put those systems in place, as we made those changes, and they hit those numbers or maybe a couple points above from month to month, because it is not easy to always hit. What they both these members that I'm thinking of in my head, both said to me, David, what was amazing about doing the budget and making those choices is that you showed us that it's possible. See all the industry trade magazines, all the internet sites, all the experts we've ever talked to start touting 34% food costs. We had no idea it was possible. And oh, by the way, they both understood that we didn't cheapen the product. We didn't raise prices to where people couldn't purchase things. We didn't go against their core values. And what the magic sauce was, they never knew it was possible. So look, with $15 minimum wage coming on a federal level, right? It's right around the corner. A pandemic year that we need to recover from, right? We need to put that in our rearview mirror. You need to run a profitable restaurant. You need to start your journey to lowering your food costs. You need to create a plan to implement and use this short list of systems. 1, the key item tracker. 2, the waste tracker. 3, the restaurant checkbook guardian. 4, put portion controls on the line. 5, line checklist. 6, time tap checklist. 7, budgets. 8, recipe costing cards. And 9, menu engineering. And you'll be on your way to a profitable restaurant. If you're tired of not being able to leave your restaurant because no one else knows how to run it, I want to make sure you know it doesn't have to be that way. You can leave your restaurant. It is possible to build a team of people who know how you want the restaurant to run. With these trained and responsible people in place, you can give yourself time away. What would you do if you had time away from your restaurant? Would you sleep better? Would your relationships improve? Would you feel more relaxed? These are all things you deserve to experience as a business owner. It's why we own our own businesses. If you would like to learn how to own a restaurant that doesn't depend on you to be successful, click the link in the description to watch a free training course that teaches you exactly what you have to do. Also, be sure to subscribe to get my weekly tips and watch these 2 videos to get more information and guidance for running a successful restaurant.